Welcome inside the Game One studio, the preferred apparel and equipment provider of higher ed athletics. This conversation was the first installment from the HEA road trip where you get to see one of my sit down interviews. And this is the only deputy AD that I actually sat down with on the trip, Jovan Overshown, deputy AD and COO at Baylor University. This was a fun conversation to get to know her. I've been told by multiple people, rising administrator, future athletic director, clearly doing great things in Waco. Been there for almost a decade now, and just excited to bring this conversation to you. We talk about her background, what she is most proud of at Baylor. We talk about Leadership Waco, that I think more people need to pay attention to programs like these. And then we start talking about revenue generation and creating new ideas. And as a branding person, as a revenue generator, how does Javon see this? How can you kind of, if you're a deputy AD or you're seen as a maybe a college athletics lifer or traditionalist, how can you learn new things from pro and business and then bring that into the AD chair to sort of protect this idea of outsiders coming in and instantly learning the academy and becoming athletic directors? A lot in here, and I was just so excited. I probably spoke too much because I had been in a car by myself ahead of this interview and got right into the football stadium. We started talking, but what a fun conversation. Javon's going to be a great athletic director someday, and it's probably going to be soon. So thank you to Game One for being my uh, kind of my apparel provider of higher ed athletics as well, and for all my sponsors getting me on the road for this trip, and then just continuing to bring you the podcast. And pay attention. Next week, I'll have more information on HEA Insider, the subscription bundle that I'm excited to start offering, because there are a lot more insights that I have not shared, that I've been kind of preparing this launch. And I'm going to be bringing that to you at the end of May. So be on the lookout for that in a way that you can support higher ed athletics. Now, Jovan Overshown, Baylor Deputy AD and COO. Thank you to Pilotics.ai for sponsoring this interview. More money, less time, lower costs. Visit Pilotics.ai.
Let's start with one or two initiatives. Well, first off, I should tell people this, I'm in person. So if we're looking at a map, I was just with Mike Buddy like an hour ago at TCU, and he told me that the first thing I have to do is say, Javon, don't forget where you came from. And so your background.
Of course he did.
So why don't you first just share your background of college athletics and going really back to us as a student?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. That's sometimes the piece that we just kind of, cover under the guise of darkness here. But yeah, graduate of TCU. Most of the folks here at Baylor say I found my way, nice start, but you figured it out at the end. So yeah, went to TCU, a degree in marketing and entrepreneurial management. Ironically, all of my degrees following that were purple. Got a master's degree in marketing communications from Tarleton, and then an Albert dissertation at Abilene Christian and my doctorate. So kind of funny there. College athletics, I did have a period of time where I worked at TCU. I was outside of the athletic space there. I worked in their press, actually, doing some marketing there. And then I spent some time at SMU. I actually coached cheer and oversaw some areas of marketing in their rec sports division. And then had some jobs in between outside of the industry. Great experiences working for other institutions. And then one day ended up at Baylor, and the rest has been history.
Yeah, and you've been here, I think, since 2017, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So obviously, there's been a lot of success at Baylor over the years with that. Going on a decade here at Baylor, and you really have covered a lot of purple. So, I mean, did you have to change your whole wardrobe to green then? That's the important question.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, we have adapted the closet, so it is fully green and gold.
I know from being in athletics, your closet basically becomes
right.
like
I have no other color. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I haven't been to Tarleton, not on this trip, but I've had the president on there talking about another school that's been growing. But Texas in general is like what I'm realizing is it's crowded with a lot of schools, but like it's so big.
That's right.
That you can find your identity, and I think the identity is clear here at Baylor. And as the deputy AD and COO, I mean, you've been here, like I said, since 2017. What are one or two initiatives that you've been really proud of to kind of not necessarily lead all the way, but like that you had a big part of that that you feel like for the Bears?
Yeah, there's been quite a few. I mean, we've had a lot of changes in the past near decade that I've been here. I'd say probably the one thing that I'm most proud of that is not a specific initiative is really just the people. I'm a people driven leader. We have managed to secure some really impressive talent here. And I think retaining good leadership and people that really are mission fit is something to be proud about in this space. And so, our external leadership team and even some of the coaching staff, I was part of the search committee that brought Nikki Collin here and was her first sport program administrator, and just really proud of the person she is and the way she's taken on the role. And then obviously being with Coach Aranda now for several years, couldn't find a better human. But so I think the people piece and really working to establish that foundationally is something I'm proud of. But beyond that, gosh, revenue. I mean, it's something we all talk about, but we've had many challenges, unexpected challenges in the revenue space with NIL and revenue share and everything else under the sun. But the team that I lead in that space, 7 consecutive years, we've
Wow.
exceeded budgeted goals, and so that is something that I can't celebrate that team enough with doing that. And it's not that we're phoning in the goals, really aggressive goals, and we've continued to achieve. And that's on top of just completing, $300 million worth of capital projects. So really proud from a revenue standpoint of what we've done there, and also even in the multimedia rights space. We did a flip there and how we are approaching that, and it's really paid off for us thus far. So really proud of our revenue efforts and then the people efforts.
As a revenue person and as a branding person, do you feel like the changes have allowed to kind of like not remove the cuffs of college athletics tradition, but like it's really been like now you get it to be creative to find new revenue streams. So maybe talk about that
Yeah.
here in Waco and how that's been part of your approach.
Yeah, that is something that I enjoy. I think that is, you said it, kind of the cuffs are off. If you're not being creative and entrepreneurial every day, you're missing an opportunity. And so, we sit here in this studio, which we didn't have, 2 years ago. And, our creative team, this is something that even being in this space, it changes the mindset, how we approach things. Everyone is a fundraiser. Everybody is an expansion of our brand. And so, we're really looking at non-traditional ways of engaging our brand, engaging the community. This is a very eclectic place, and people that don't know about Waco don't realize that there is something for everyone. You have to be intentional in seeking it out. And so I feel like this is the great opportunity to really tap into all that this city has. And so we've had some fun coming up with initiatives. We actually had a meeting yesterday where we said there's no bad idea, like the most absurd thing that you can think of, bring to the table, because it might be the next big thing for us. And so we're all about creating experiences and making the brand come to life, but staying true to it. So this has been a fun one. Yeah.
I got to tell you, I am bullish about AD Vantage. I've been telling everyone about it because it's data with context. It's the money ball for athletic departments. Think about this. Athletic departments, they're quickly seeing the value because you have to hire and evaluate head coaches. You can compare budgets. You can evaluate and write coaching contracts. You can also maintain your own watch list for what's important specifically to different programs at your institution, whether you're the athletic director or you're the sport administrator. So don't just collect data, get the actionable insights at your fingertips by partnering with AD Vantage. Go to athleticdirectorvantage.com to schedule a demo because your competitors probably already have.
Yeah, and I feel like athletic administrators have always, learned from outside the industry, like, and then try to apply it in. And so, whenever you talk about having that meeting, how are you studying? Maybe you see something you want to replicate, but then say, that would work at Baylor if we, tweaked it here and there. And then the ideation process to generate new ideas. I mean, what is that process for you as an individual? Let alone, it's good that your whole team does
Yeah.
that, but how does Javon look at inspiration for new
Yeah.
ideas?
I think you have to break yourself. I say that sounds so bizarre, but you have to break yourself over and over again, meaning you can't get too stuck and rooted in where you are. And I think sometimes that requires truth tellers. I always tell people, get you some truth tellers that are going to tell you when you are being stagnant, or when you are getting hung up on something because you are restraining yourself to a philosophy that has been. And so I definitely have those people in my life that'll challenge me. Our athletic director right now, Doug McNamee, is one of those people that's very inventive and creative. He hired me nearly a decade ago, and now he's back again. So it's kind of fun. But yeah, we have to constantly challenge ourselves. Whenever I give a no, or even when I think about a no, I have to check myself to say, is that because I don't want the challenge that it's going to become? Is it because I'm resisting doing something a way that we've always, outside of how we've always done it? But I look outside the industry. If you're not looking outside the industry, you are limiting your vision for opportunity. And so I look at, not just event based, but Disney, Chick-fil-A, customer service, look at different brands that are really impactful, luxury brands. And then also, people like the Savannah Bananas. Doug often brings that up, but you have to look at different cross sections of a multitude of industries, because if you're not, you just really are limiting your perspective in a harmful way.
Yeah, I remember Brian Blair went
Yeah.
on like a podcast and did a book review of Ride of a Lifetime, and so I picked it up and read. I actually listened to the audio, and then I ended up buying the book. But like I find it fascinating of what you can learn from, because I still look. I still think like a college athletics person. I think that's probably what like drives the podcast questions, but there's so much like out there that you could read or listen to. Like I was telling you that I listen to How I Built This regularly, and I hear a lot of ADs do. And that helped me, listen to the Chip and Joe episode on my way here to Baylor. But do you feel like when you say you're studying Disney stuff, is it books, podcasts, YouTube channels? Like or is it just everything?
All of it. I think, always you use the car rides, in college athletics, whatever time you get, it feels like you're multitasking. But I think I'm always open to listening to something, whether it be a podcast or audiobook. But a lot of it is conversations with folks. I am always grateful to be connected with someone across different industries. And so I think that's the beauty of college sports, is there's a lot of interconnectivity, and being able to pick up the phone or shoot an email and schedule time for a quick Zoom or phone call. But then I read a lot, we talked about the ticker earlier, and so what's coming through there, picking up the phone and calling, whether maybe it is Ryan back over at TCU where you just came from, or wherever it is. I think just having conversations and being willing to read and listen. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of talk about, I think, overblown. I've shared this with people, but so my dissertation is on the evolving position of the FBS athletic director. And my committee made me focus on FBS. So anyone watching that's not in FBS, they said, you can't focus on all Division Ones. For a qualitative study, if you're interviewing people, it needs to be similar. But there's this talk of like the outside industry people come. There's now search firms that are trying to break into the college athletic director space, and just thinking that it's going to be like, let's just take this professional sports person that's never been on a college campus besides being as a student, place them into this AD chair. And I would argue that it's probably, I don't want to say easier, but it's more likely that a traditional administrator, especially, our age range, that they can pick and choose what would fit from college sports or business world versus someone that's never been in the bureaucracy of higher education and how slow things move. So as someone that is, rose up in college athletics and likely going to be an athletic director at some point soon, how do you kind of learn from the pro sports model and the business one versus, like you might have to sell that to a president one day of saying, why wouldn't I hire a business, a Fortune 500 person?
Yeah, I do think that's an interesting reality. And even, through the transition that we had here, as I thought about kind of what's next, and in some ways you don't know what's next when you're going through an AD transition. Those were the things that I had conversations with folks about, because there has, as you mentioned, been a trend of going outside the industry, and you get it, you understand. We're in a space where it's unfamiliar for institutions, and it's not your typical, so they're not hiring your typical in a lot of cases. I think what I would say to that is, for me, it is ensuring that you're not wasting the newness of someone that's coming in, so you're getting in new perspectives and you're being willing to accept them. but that you're also not getting stale. I mean, that's the thing. We have to challenge ourselves, like I said prior, of having conversations, being able to sit in a business conference or engage in things that maybe are not traditionally what you would do in athletics. I think we can get athletics in general can get very cliquish and siloed, and you have to fight against that. And so I like seeing across campus. I'm participating in a summit here soon. It's a Christian leadership conference. It has nothing to do with athletics, but it's the ability to expand my horizon. It's the opportunity to, yesterday I was with 40 local business leaders, and volunteered to do a panel for them and just talk about college athletics. But that was equally an opportunity for me to engage with them. And so I think you have to put yourself in places with people where you are absorbing some of the knowledge, whether it be from the business or finance or education sector, because then you have the unique ability to kind of fold that into the athletic ecosystem and present something really unique to a future president. And so I hope that folks that are seeking out new ADs as presidents and leadership and boards, they're really giving folks the opportunity that have been on campuses and not completely shutting out the possibility of them having innovation in them as well. I think it's easy to go outside sometimes, but there is that innovation that can be within someone that's grown up in the industry too.
Game One is a one-stop shop for premium college athletic uniforms, apparel, equipment, facility products, and more. From partnerships with teams and organizations to work and dedication with local communities, Game One continually strives to take on every day, season, and competition with excitement and purpose. Focus on an intercollegiate athletics business model that has grown by almost 30% in the past year. Game One continues to expand its sales and service model in this space. For partnership opportunities, please contact Tim McMurray, Vice President of Collegiate Partnerships at tim.mcmurray at game-one.com.
So Leadership Waco.
Yeah.
So I had Marcus Hilliard on from Tennessee, and he
Yeah.
went through Leadership Knoxville. My wife in our city, she's a COO of a Christian-based company,
Oh, love that.
and she went through. Our county had one where I looked at the a little bit. There's always a little quirks about it, but like, can you maybe explain what Leadership Waco is? Because I am bullish on these types of programs for deputies and ADs, really anyone, but those two particular positions.
Mhm.
You can, for where college athletics is going
That's
and
right.
needing to find new donors, new business partners.
That's right.
I think it's underrated approach. So maybe tell me
Yeah.
about Leadership Waco.
Yeah, I think it also can be hard for folks to want to prioritize their time to something like this.
Outside the athletic department,
That's
especially.
right. That's right. I cannot say enough good things about Leadership Waco. Really, I've considered a privilege that I was selected to be part of the class of 40 individuals that get to run through this program. I had been in Waco for 7 years when I said I was going to take part in this. And some would think, well, you've been here long enough, you should be acclimated. But no, Leadership Waco takes 40 people from different sectors all across, different industries, and we learn intimately about our city. And you learn about the things that you wouldn't ultimately know. You learn about the why business is the way it is. You learn about how even infrastructure and how geographically things got to be where they are. And I think it just gives you a deeper root of understanding, and you're doing it alongside people that care deeply about this city. And so ultimately the goal is for you to have understanding of everything about this city, from our water to waste management to education to healthcare, to different causes of need, and for us to be inspired to act and engage. And I think cities that are successful and have opportunities for innovation and growth have people that care deeply and are engaged. And we also need those engaged folks within the athletic department. And I think being able to see that even though we're at different industries, but we all have this shared passion for wanting vibrancy and to really elevate this community, there's nothing better than that. And so for me, it was an opportunity to learn, but an opportunity to give back. And that's what yesterday was. It was my turn to then be a panelist for the next class. And so that was really neat to be on the other side of things. But yeah, I could not recommend it enough. I will tell you, anyone that has lived here, I don't care how long you've lived here, or in your city, you don't know everything that there is about the way things tick and the way things work. And it was nice to have a peek behind the curtain. You really have so much more gratitude for the place that you get to be. And that's what I went home with every month that we had the session. I would go home and just have such gratitude for the place that I get to live and wanting to be in a position to do more. And so, yes, it really is great to sit in the seat, to have an appreciation for where you exist, and to want to do more and want to engage with those people, because that's what it's all about. So yeah.
Well, it can also be a career flywheel because it can help in different areas. For one, it's going to help you meet people whenever
Yes,
you do need to have
of course.
conversations, get new ideas for your department. It's going to help you when you're hiring coaches
Yeah,
and staff.
yeah,
I mean, trying to get their
yeah.
spouses across the finish
Yes,
line.
yes,
That's what a lot of people talk to me about is, my wife's got to like the place. My husband's
yes.
got to be able to, do
Yep,
his work there too. And so I think that's a big part of it. And then just getting staff, the fact that you can speak intelligently about that, but then even if it's as location based as it is, I mean, you can then go take that into another
yeah,
community and apply it
absolutely,
again. And so,
absolutely.
it's one thing I got to make sure I don't go on a tangent here, but like one thing I'm bullish on right now, and I don't sit in these chairs, but LinkedIn is for where college athletics is going. I feel like Twitter used to be and still is where the diehard fan is.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a place for a department to be there. But if you are an AD or a future AD, LinkedIn Premium, for example, is such a you don't even need the premium, but like you can filter out
That's right.
regional, like city, state, all your
Yep.
alums, and these are the people that probably aren't on
Yeah,
Twitter going crazy.
that's
They may
right.
not be season ticket holders, or
That's
they
right.
are. And if you think about it, we're talking about the importance of revenue and reaching alumni, I mean, look at IU football. Like, I've been an IU football fan since I was a kid, and so this
Mm-hmm.
year was great. But like people act
Yeah.
like they just now had 800,000 living alumni. No, it was dormant to
That's right.
football. You start winning, but then they had the process to be able to reach out to those donors. But I just think someone that's going to be an AD, they could get on. They
Yes.
need to do an in-person thing like the Leadership
Mm-hmm.
Waco, but like also you don't have to wait to get in a cohort. Just be active on
Agree.
LinkedIn.
Agree.
And actually, like, you'd be surprised. Like, I came from being a business analyst. Like, you could analyze, and I did briefings on people and places for Indiana. I mean, you can learn so much
That's
on a
right.
free tool like that
That's
or a
right.
small investment.
I agree.
And I think also people that are, looking to get into certain jobs, you can do your homework on that place too to see more than just the numbers that you might see in your own research.
Yeah, you can't allow free platforms like that to become white noise. I think we get so inundated with information that it can be easy to be dismissive of what might come across via LinkedIn, whether it be someone reaching out to you or whether it just be information that's accessible. I completely agree with that. Yeah.
And while you're on LinkedIn, follow the Higher Ed Athletics company page. Okay, so I want to switch to this mindset of being a COO and a deputy AD of a place like Baylor
Mm-hmm.
and an FBS athletic department in general. I mean, the AD position has changed where they had to be in different places, and so I think the running the day to day has even
Mm-hmm.
changed more than it
Mm-hmm.
used to be. But with so much change, how do you have to kind of show up every day being willing to change and roll with the punches of everything going on to be there for your staff too?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the past year has been an accelerated version of that challenge with the transitions that we've had in the interim status and then onboarding a new AD. I think the greatest thing that I could do is show up and be a constant. Now, that doesn't mean constant in the sense of there's not going to be change, there's not going to be challenge, but just a constant steady, and someone that they know is going to bring truth and transparency to the extent that they can, and do that consistently. I think that is so key to the role right now, is there being somebody that's going to steady the ship. And so everything is moving around us, and it will continue to. It will continue to. But the fact that there are qualities about you that they know your people know that they can expect. And I think that goes for external stakeholders too. I mean, our people value transparency, they value communication, and that's something that if we can give that to them, that allows the door to continuously be open for them to engage with us and them to give. And so I think that's the greatest challenge, but also opportunity, is just to show up consistently and to be a voice of study.
I know how much you care about your student athletes. It's why I partnered with OnRise. I spent 10 years working in academics and compliance, advised thousands of student athletes. And it's why I really love this company. One call, same day setup, immediate athlete access to licensed clinicians, retired pros, and more importantly, a 24/7 crisis care. Less than one in house FTE, no hiring hassles, no initiative fatigue. Think about this. Are you going to make your athletes wait? Are you worried about even the university protocols making them wait? Your athletes need immediate access. This gives it to you, especially when the budget is tight. Visit onrise.care.
Obviously you've been here a while and you are happy in your role, it seems, and you love Baylor and you love Texas. But at the same time, anyone in your position is going to probably already being sought after for by search firms for things. So whenever you explore an AD opening, what are you specifically? I assume dossier is always a great resource for people, but like when you're evaluating a position in institutional fit and alignment, what are the types of things that you're actually looking at?
Yeah, well, I appreciate that question. I think, there was a time where I thought, okay, I'm going to say no so many times that people are going to stop asking. But part of the reason was the fit and timing. I have two boys, 8 and 10. And so, I am a mom and a spouse first. And I'm a believer. And so, my family is very important to me and not wanting to create disruption. And so, timing has always been something that's critical. And I knew I would know the right time. And so I feel like right now I'm at the place of, I feel like we are stewarding things well. This hasn't been a here today, gone tomorrow opportunity for me. So if and when the time comes where I do say yes and want to move on, fit and timing will be key. And by fit, I mean a place where I'm able to show up authentically as who I am, a place where there's strong alignment from the institutional side and really a commitment to athletics. And that doesn't mean a commitment to athletics as it is today, understanding that athletics is a moving target and what that commitment looks like might shift. But then also a place where, like I said, my family is welcome. My family can exist and show up as who they authentically are in a place where people matter. And then, of course, there's the natural pieces, the resourcing, and the ability to make the right connections and be plugged in the right way. But yeah, institutional fit with philosophy, mission, who I am as a person, being able to be who I am, and then also a place where my family can exist. But yeah.
Well, you have 8 and 10. I have 7, getting ready to turn 8, and a 10-year-old.
Bless you.
And I have a 4-year-old.
Oh my goodness!
So,
the wild card. There you go.
That's why I'm basically getting back to Indiana as quick as I can after I go to Houston, because I got 3 kids in Little League. And so I
understand that personally. Yes. Yep. Right here with you.
So are they boy, girl, or boys?
Both boys.
Okay.
So all
exactly,
the things.
Yes. And I coached the 10-year-olds football team. And
gosh.
For how many football coaches I've worked with in my career, you'd think I'd have a better than a 1-8 youth league record. We won our last game of the season, but that's the last one's all that matters.
That's right. They celebrated. They're good.
Well, so I do think that's like, and I bring on deputies that I know might not be leaving right away, but like they're clearly have a certain level in their current job where they can work and do other things. And so the good thing about that is you're not like grasping for every AD job, because I am, especially from working in a president's office, I look at fit and institutional alignment. You can, at least I can look at a school and probably tell you like good fit, not fit. And I think the one challenge with, not to knock search firms, but I always ask people like, what's that? And it's like, they call me all the time. They call ADs and say, who should I ask? And it's like, well, isn't that your job to find out? And so what I've been doing is my off-air conversations is just say like, what's important to you as a fit? Because I look at it through a higher ed lens. And I think if you're just trying to get like the D1 AD job, that means a lot of different things. And, I even Lee De Leon was he came on and he's like, look, I was probably an AD before I was ready. And he even made a comment, like paraphrasing, he's like, you better be ready for it and make the right choice, because if not, it could be hard to get another one.
That's right.
And so it's also like, just bloom where you're planted. But I've also looked at places where someone told me recently, you want a staff, an administrator and a leadership team that, yes, you want them to be committed to a place for a good amount of time, but at the same time, whenever you're needing change, if that person's not willing to change,
That's right.
I think it was Jeremiah Dickey told me like years ago, it was like growing up in the profession, he had a 3 years out or up or out. And that was important to him. And I think that's some advice that people need, is because when you're in a position like this, I mean, Baylor's a beautiful place. Waco's an incredible city that I'm excited to explore. But at the same time, if an opportunity comes up,
That's right.
you'll be ready because you're getting these experiences working with Doug. And so,
it's funny you mentioned Jeremiah. He is one of the calls I make. Absolutely. And I think he's one of the people that I really appreciate and admire, because I feel like I watched him pursue and wait for the right opportunity. And I also watched him care for and steward his family well, and other people. And so, I love watching his journey. And then Doug, he cares deeply about this place, and I think very different perspective, but it's fun to see the way he navigates things and his perspective. But yeah, I feel so fortunate of just the different people that I've gotten to work with here, and know, I will absolutely know when the right opportunity comes. And I definitely feel like our family is at a point where they'll be ready for the right one too.
Yeah. And one thing I love about Jeremiah, like, I'm a man of faith. I love how he wears his faith publicly. And Boise's not like a Christian university, but it's in our day-to-day life as Jesus followers. And
that's right.
And so I love that about how he stands boldly in his faith. And then what I appreciate about Doug is, I was telling my dad is a truck driver, comes to Texas a lot, so he's telling me like what routes to avoid, and how you'll go 80 miles per hour on the interstate, and then someone 100 will go 120 behind you. And so most of this trip's been highways just to appease them. But it's funny about, they just wanted to center in on the Baylor visit, right? Because my dad, Field and Stream magazine.
Oh goodness!
So Doug came over from there.
Hope he gets him a goodie bag.
And then my mom is like, if you run into Chip and Joe, give them my address. I need help renovating this house. My grandpa built my mom's house, and so and they're like, it's from 1960, but she won't move. And so she's like,
they could do something with that.
I was like, Mom, I think that's a little far away for them. But Javon, thanks for having me to Baylor. I'm so excited to be here and really get to meet you, and look forward to staying in touch.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you to Pilotics.ai for sponsoring this interview. More money, less time, lower costs. Visit Pilotics.ai.